Hello, I'm Frank Allocco, and welcome to Tuesday Testimonials. Each week, we will host a wide variety of our Don's family, from athletes, coaches, administrators, faculty members, and fans, all who share a common thread, a love for the University of San Francisco. Today, I'm proud to be here with Suzanne Enos O'Meara, one of the great pioneers of USF women's athletics. Suzanne, I know you're a local person. Tell me about growing up in Marin County.
Well, I was born and raised in Marin County, so I'm an original. There aren't many of us left here in the county. And I grew up in a very beautiful area of San Anselmo called Sleepy Hollow. I attended the local Catholic school, St. Rita's, and then for high school moved on to Drake.
I got to ask you a question. Drake High School, I always think of Cap Lavin, the famous USF alum, writer of the Bay Area Writing Project. Now, he was a teacher. Did you have any interactions with Cap?
Yes, he was actually my AP English teacher senior year, and besides improving my writing, he would meet me on the outside basketball courts and also help me improve my ball handling and shooting skills.
So what attracted you to sports?
So at the time, the opportunities for girls were very limited. There was one nun I'll never forget, Sister Leo, who would occasionally hitch up the long skirts of her habit and pitch softballs to the girls on the blacktop. And we had the occasional volleyball game against other Catholic elementary schools in the area, but there were no real leagues, no real competition. The boys played CYO basketball, but the girls could only be cheerleaders. So the only shooting I could do was on the hoop in our backyard.
Wow.
It wasn't until high school that I was able to play competitive sports, and I loved it.
I know you were a dominant player at Drake High School. You were the team MVP in volleyball and basketball, and you were the Women's Sports Magazine Athlete of the Year in 1975. With all that accomplishment, when did you kind of figure out that you were good enough and could potentially play in college?
You know, that thought, the ability to play in college and any potential opportunities there really never crossed my mind. I was very much playing in the moment. I didn't know if I would be able to play in college, and I certainly never expected to receive an athletic scholarship. At the time, upon graduation, my plan was to go to the local JC.
Wow. And, you know, in your game just blossomed. I mean, you participated in the 1976 U.S. Olympic regional trials as a 15-year-old. I mean, that had to be an overwhelming experience. So share with us that opportunity.
Well, it absolutely was an overwhelming experience, but I have to say that I've been blessed with many amazing mentors throughout my lifetime. And one of the first was my high school basketball coach, Ann Scott. She coached me all 4 years during high school and was always looking for new ways to help me improve my game and improve my skills. So during my sophomore year, when I was 15, she put my mom and me in her camper van and drove us to the Olympic regional trials, which I think were in Fresno or someplace like that. I was only 15 and really probably not ready for the experience, but she told me, don't worry, it's going to be great. And it really was. I didn't make the first cut, but I got to scrimmage against Ann Myers, a big name, you know, back then in the day. And I also got to meet many of the girls, young women who would go on to actually play in the Olympics. And I think that single experience really inspired me to up my game even more my junior and senior year.
So how do you get on USF's radar? How did they find you?
They found me with the help of some of my other amazing mentors. Again, Pete Hayward was the boys basketball coach at Drake, and he took a special interest in me. Back then, the girls actually played during the spring season. So Coach Hayward invited me to practice with the boys team in the winter, and that really improved my skills. There were also two officials during league who would ref our girls' games, and they also took me under their wings. One of them had a connection to USF, and when he heard that the Dons were looking to start a basketball program for women, he told them about me. And before I knew it, Walt Bugler, the USF basketball coach, was in the stands watching me play.
Well, it's 1976. You go on to become the first female athlete to ever receive a scholarship to USF. What significance in your life did that have for you then and now?
Well, you know, back then I was just thrilled to be able to follow my passion and play sports. As I grew older, though, I began to understand and appreciate just how lucky I was to have attended a premier university like USF, which ultimately set me up for a long career in education. And of course, it was Title IX that allowed me to receive that athletic scholarship in the first place. So being part of that entire historical movement was definitely significant.
And so now you're a part of the first women's basketball team at USF. And I know times were different then. Your head coach was part-time, and he often says he got a phone call one morning saying, we're going to start a women's basketball program. We have no money, no budget, and we can't pay you. Tell me about the equipment, facilities, et cetera, at that time, and the challenges that you all faced together.
You know, when I first stepped onto campus, it was a very exciting time. Title IX had just passed, as I said, and we were all very determined to make the women's athletic program as successful as possible. But we were just starting out, and we were definitely going through some growing pains. Yes, our coach was a part-time coach. He was a father of 5 who ran a small business during the day while raising his 5 children, and then he would come to campus in the evenings and on the weekends for practices and games. At that time, we also shared facilities with the men, including the training room, which meant that sometimes we were getting our ankles taped right next to Bill Cartwright. But somehow that kind of made it all more special. There was a real sense of community and camaraderie between coaches and players, and we all felt very supported by the rest of the USF community.
You played 3 years of both basketball and volleyball. Tell me about playing 2 sports at USF.
Well, you know, at first that was actually a requirement for female athletes. To get our scholarship, we needed to play 2 sports. I played volleyball and basketball in college as I had in high school, and that was fine with me. But as the athletic program started to grow and become more competitive, athletic teams started to train year-round. So the two-sport system really became unfeasible. So my junior year, I chose to play basketball, but then my senior year, I played volleyball just because I missed that as well.
After graduation, you go and get a master's degrees in education from Stanford University, and you've had an amazing career in education. Tell me about that.
During high school and college, all of my summer jobs always revolved around teaching and coaching sports. I worked basketball camps, I taught swim lessons, I ran adult leagues. So it was an easy choice to major in physical education at USF, and that was a new program that just began my sophomore year. During my senior year, one of my professors in that department, Geraldine Lauro, encouraged me to apply to the program at Stanford, where I received a master's in education as well as my teaching credential. And I did that on her suggestion, and that led to my long career in education as a teacher, as a coach, as an athletic director, as an administrator. I've had a lot of roles. I've enjoyed all of them, and I'm very proud to say that this school year will be my 40th in the field of education.
Wow, you're a Hall of Fame educator and a Hall of Fame player. You were inducted into the Marin County Athletic League's Hall of Fame in 1999, and in 2016, you're inducted into USF's Hall of Fame. What did those experiences mean to you?
You know, being inducted is such an honor. You feel humble, but very proud, nervous, but excited, and definitely grateful. And not just grateful for the acknowledgement, but more for the fact that you were able to enjoy such amazing experiences. It takes you back to a really special time in your life and really allows you to reflect on where you've been.
Well, you know, the first time I met you was at that Hall of Fame induction in 2016. And I have to tell you, one of the most moving things I've ever seen in my life was when all of USF's female athletes formed a procession line for you to walk through as you walked up to the podium. Their way of thanking you for all you did to pave the way for them. I have to be honest with you, I cried. It was one of the most special things I've ever seen. So if an outsider's crying, what was going through your mind when that happened?
Well, I had no idea that anything like that was being planned, and I was truly overwhelmed. I was also struck by 2 things. The sincerity and graciousness of the athletes as they thanked me, and the sheer number of athletes. I saw them lining up at the back of the room. I had no idea what was going on. But it took a really long time to shake all of their hands. There were so many of them. And I was so gratified to see how much the athletic department had grown over the years. That might have been the most special moment in my career.
Well, that's awesome. And Suzanne, you were inducted into the WCC Hall of Honor in 2018. And that is a incredibly prestigious honor, as you were selected as the sole representative of the University of San Francisco that year. What was it like to be in a room with so many elite athletes from throughout the entire conference being honored?
You know, I was so honored and proud to be chosen to represent USF in the Hall of Honor. This was something I certainly never expected, so I was equally humbled. But I so enjoyed meeting all of the other athletes from the conference schools and hearing their individual stories. So that this time around, I wasn't even that nervous. I was inspired and really enjoyed the event.
You know, Suzanne, you married a Don. In fact, your husband, John's a professor in the School of Management and the program director of a new MSMI grad program. How did you guys meet at USF?
I actually met John on the basketball court at USF our freshman year during orientation week. A bunch of us were shooting hoops on the floor of Memorial Gym, and John challenged a couple of other guys to a game on 2-on-2. And as a carrot, he also said, "And I'll even play with that girl over there." Well, needless to say, we won that game, and we've been a strong team ever since.
Well, you know, you and John are so supportive of the university. You attend campus events. I see you at sporting events. You know, I'd like to conclude our Tuesday testimonial with one simple question. Why are you still here?
You know, USF has always been a place where people connect and, more importantly, stay connected no matter how much time passes. Our families also have a long history with USF. My grandfather worked in the athletic department back in the 1930s. My aunt and uncle met at USF. John's father and older brother are Dons. Our oldest son, Doug, attended school here, grad school here. And our youngest son has been going to basketball games on the Hilltop with us since he was about 9 years old. Wow. And of course, now John is working here. So at this point, USF is family, part of our extended family.
Well, we want to thank you for your time and for the difference you have made as the first female student athlete in USF history. Your commitment, your work ethic, and your success paved the way for many women who followed you and received opportunities through your example. Suzanne, you're a great athlete, mother, mentor, and a devoted Don. You're still teaching, still modeling the skills you learned here, and your commitment to change the world from here. Thanks for all you have done.
Thank you, Frank.